Welcome to our lecture on genital herpes. Genital herpes is a very common sexually transmitted infection. So, genital herpes is something that we must always educate each other on it, and especially to those that are teenagers that engage into unprotected sex, because genital herpes is a very common sexually transmitted infection, and it does not peak among people. So definitely you must be aware of it and be tested regularly. So when you look at the image here, this is genital herpes, the genital herpes virus, and this is where it attack. That is the genital area. So let's look at what is a genital herpes. So a genital herpes is a virus infection that affect the genital area, and this virus infection is caused by the herpes simplex virus. So there are two strains of herpes simplex virus. We have the HSV1 or the HSV2. So either of them can cause the genital herpes infection. So it is important that you understand this and note that at the genital area, once you are infected, one of the major signs you will start to experience is sore and blazes. So like you observe here in this image, looking at the genital area of this female, you are seeing that the female is affected, and around the genital area there is a blazer and a sore that have been created. Very uncomfortable situation, and this may even the symptom might go and it might reoccur through the person's life. Okay, so let's look at the prevalence of genital herpes in our health talk today. Genital herpes is a very common infection, as we said previously. And how common is this infection around the world? So according to the analysis of 2023 WHO, they are telling us that genital herpes is about 500 million people worldwide have genital herpes infection, and especially ones that are caused by the HSV2 virus. So it is a very common global concern that we all must have a very clear education towards. Some symptoms of genital herpes. So there are some common symptoms that we look at on genital herpes virus. So one of the symptoms that a person will experience when they have exposure to this virus will be painful sore. Okay, we talk about that, and itching, burning sensation will occur, and that a flu-like symptom. So a person who has come down with genital herpes, that person is always in a very uncomfortable position, because if you look at the genital area, these are parts of the human body that normally close up and this is not exposed to air. So definitely this virus makes that person genital area uncomfortable by itching and burning. So it's a very emotional signal, okay? And however, there are some people that are asymptomatic. That is, there are people who do not show any symptoms of this infection. But however, it is good to be tested. So, how is genital herpes virus transmitted? So, genital herpes is primarily spread through sexual contact. As we say, it's a sexually transmitted infection. So, mind you, there are people that also contact this through oral sex, right? So there are places, not only the genital area, but there are people who will come down with an oral trash caused by genital herpes due to their engagement in oral sex. So the means of transmission for genital herpes is through sexual contact. Okay, and another thing is that using condom, DIMS, and other uh materials will help limit the risk status of the individual. So, looking at the diagnosis of genital herpes, we probably there are a very common procedure towards it, that is the swab mentor or other blood test to determine whether this patient is having an exposure or is risk to this virus. So in the diagnosis, there are swab tests that will be done, or there are direct tests that are done by drawing blood and then putting in the test tube and running a very specific sensitivity test to determine the herpes simplex virus. So another thing is to always, inform and be open up to your partner, in terms of the diagnosis, so that the both of you can be safe. So treatment options, okay? So genital herpes is treated by antiviral medications, can help manage the symptoms and reduce the rates of transmission. So that is the virus infection will live with the person, but what it does is that the antiviral medication will reduce the symptoms so that the person cannot be uncomfortable. And it is also good that you try to consult a healthcare professional for a better treatment plan so that your condition can be managed earlier. So let's look at some prevention strategies. Okay, so some prevention strategies is to have a very safe sex. So that has to do with you knowing your partner, and if you are just meeting this person, it is very good to have an open communication with this person, telling them that it is important that the both of you have a partner testing to know whether the both of you had an exposure to any sexually transmitted infection or sexually transmitted disease. So in that light, it is important that you have a very safe sex practice. And if you know the pricing is important, to inform them and be open up to them. So prevention is very important because prevention will reduce the spread of genital herpes, and that will be a very important thing. And there's a reason why we are offering this education, to give you knowledge and idea on how to prevent such. So living with genital herpes is something that is very emotional. It is challenging, and there are a lot of stigma that is behind this, because imagine you are in a very huge gathering and you're experiencing some burning sensation, itching, and etc. These are all sexually transmitted symptoms that might even count for another sickness, but it's uncomfortable. It is something that is not even easy to live with. So worldwide, there are millions of people that have been affected by this condition, but still they are fulfilling their needs in life, and there are things that they are still doing. So it can be managed, but it is something that is difficult to live with. So what are some of the stigmas? So educating others and promoting empathy can help break some of those stigmas and the misconceptions about the sickness. Because someone with a genital herpes is being ill treated, being disguised among others, it is not good. It causes emotional or psychological breakdown, and that is something very serious that we need to look at. So key takeaway in this health lecture you need to understand is that genital herpes is a very common STI or sexually transmitted infection, and its property can be managed through, and you can prevent yourself from contacting this through some active preventive practice. And knowledge and awareness is very essential to the youth, to understand, to teenager, to understand how to have a very safe self. Okay, so in our Q&A section, we will like you to comment in our comment section, ask a question relating to this topic, and you can make a recommendation. And through our video, we will be very grateful for that. Thank you for listening to and watching this video. My name is Amaram Sharif, and I'm your presenter on biomedical sciences.